Cool. So we're here with Light You Up. How are you guys?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Yeah. How you doing?
You gonna introduce yourself? You gonna do this?
Can do. My name's Tom.
And we got
Andrew.
you guys feeling good today?
Yeah, I'm a little achy from last night. Got a bit of a rough night's sleep, but I'm looking forward to it.
I'm gonna be honest. We already spoke about like several things so far, but we won't cover that again because that'd just be way too weird. We talked about poo and weed already. But anyway, cool. So UK tour support in Chunk No Captain Chunk. How did you guys feel when you first got offered that?
Do you want to say this one?
Sure, man. Yeah, it was cool, man. We've known the Chunk guys for a few years now, and it seemed like we'd always been talking about doing something, and it was a nice timing for both of us. And as soon as we got the offer, obviously we were happy to take it, and it was it's only one show in, but it's been really fun so far. And like I said, the guys are awesome in Chunk, and we're having a good time already, so it's lots of fun. It's good.
Well, perfect. Mate. And you got a upcoming debut full-length album. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, I mean, we were just in. We come back about a month ago. We were in San Francisco at Panda Studios, recording with Sam Pura, and dude, that literally it was the best experience we've ever done as a band. We were there for how long were we there for recording? Yeah, dude, it was just incredible. He's such a good dude. He really knew how to kind of get the best out of what we wanted. He very much was able to get what was in our heads out onto a recording.
Yeah, it was the first time that we've ever had a situation where we had time to spend on the songs, because before we've ever, like the EP that we did before, it was just under the gun. You go in, record the songs in like 3 days, and then you're out, and then that's what you show the world or whatever. Whereas the album we did pre-production before, which meant that we spent time actually honing the songs and figuring out that there's parts of our songs that didn't need to be there, or it was just like trimming the fat, maximising the bits of that makes us.
That's always like a really good sign of a good producer, isn't it? Yeah.
Man. I mean, because our songs are our babies, you know. Like, it's really.
Trojan.
Yeah, totally. It's really good to get an outsider's perspective to kind of go, I like this, but I think this section could probably go, or this bit needs to be lengthened or whatever. And yeah, that was, I think, a really, really useful experience for us.
Did he do it in a nice way, or was he like, that shit, get out?
He's definitely not shy.
Yeah, he's very blunt, and I think a lot of the time people could mistake that for him being rude. But I'm very much that sort of person as well, so like instantly me and him got on really, really well.
He needs, like we need, the songs to be as good as they deserve to be.
Both your names are on it.
Exactly, and so I think he's definitely not shy in saying, but that's what we needed. That's why we used him. That's why we went with him. That's why we had an affinity with him, because I think that he knew what we wanted, and he would stop at nothing until we were achieving that and beyond. And that's what we have done, and that's why we're so proud of it. And he's become one of our greatest friends, which is at the same time. So obviously he wasn't. It was great, but I think it gave us a bit of a shock to start with, because we'd never been told. We'd never been in a studio situation before and have been pushed that hard. And because and you say that we were guys in a band, which is the most fun thing ever. But it's the first time I was ever sitting in a band, and it's obviously the greatest experience of our lives. But it's the first time I'm like, fuck, this is hard, you know. So yeah.
No one told us it was going to be this hard.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's ended up something that we're so proud of and surpassed our expectations. So we're very happy. We're excited to get it out there, you know.
Definitely go back to him then.
Dude, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely an experience I want to do again. Yeah. He has this incredible mindset of, like, literally on the first day, he's like, so guys, we're going to kill people. Like, it's quite aggressive.
Got a few victims back there.
Right. But his mentality is like, I want this record to be so good. And he has this mentality with everything he does that people die when listening to it. It's that good. So, like, fun.
Yeah, he's trying to better himself. And then, and we'd love to work with him again. I mean, we've already spoke to him. I remember when we were in the States, we were speaking to him about bringing him to the UK to work on something with us in the future, and which would be a cool thing to do. And obviously we'll see what the future holds, but for right now we're just so stoked to have worked with him and to have the piece of music that we have right now, you know. So
Are you guys going to be playing a few of the new songs tonight?
Yeah, we're going to play, oh god, our set's not particularly long tonight. We're going to try and drop, I think, 3 new tunes. There's a couple in there that we think might be, you know, worthy of being a single. So it's nice to see what people's reception is to
that crowd reaction is basically gonna see which one wins, kind of thing.
I think there's a few that we definitely know are the picking ones. I mean, we love all of the songs and we can't wait to play them all. And we're kind of like testing the water with a few different ones. But there's a couple of songs that we feel strong singles, and then we're just seeing how the response, we're gauging the response, you know. So last night was the first show, but it went great. I mean, our driver said that the new song sounded tighter and than the old song, so I guess that's a good thing. But because it was the first time we'd ever played them last night, so
That's actually quite hard, because with your old tracks, of course, you've spent time touring them, just like playing them, and you maybe like adding a few new like stuff involved, kind of thing, and you know what you're doing with stage presence. But with like the new tracks, you're like, oh, where can we go with this, and what they're gonna like.
yeah, and that's one thing that was different with doing an album, is that I think everything we'd ever done before had pretty much been played live before it was ever recorded, whereas the album, it was all obviously done, and then we'd never played any of it until yesterday, and so that was quite a daunting proposition at first. But then at the same time, even just one show in now, I think we know, we're like, oh, these songs are going to work live, you know, so that's a great thing. So we're excited. It's very cool.
Going back to it, the actual experience of going to the US and recording, was it quite like a daunting thing before you got to like the studio and stuff, or were you just like way too excited?
It was bizarre. I mean, we stayed in Texas with some of our friends for about 10 days prior to that. We wanted to spend a lot of time, because predominantly, like, Drew used to write all the lyrics for the band prior to myself joining, and now it's very much a kind of like a joint effort. I mean, there's a lot of songs on the record which I've written everything to. There's songs on the record that Drew's written everything to, and there's collaborations as well. So I feel like I've very much trailed off the point I was going to. When we're in Texas, we needed to spend a lot of time kind of honing those lyrics for parts of the songs that weren't written, or we had complete sections which had no vocals in at all. So that was nice for us to kind of sit down and work at them. So I guess we were too preoccupied by that to really realise that, fuck, we're recording an album in like 4 days. You get to the studio and then go, damn, we're here. It kind of came out of nowhere for me. So
and that was important for us. I think it was like pre-production. It was the first time where I think the songs, instead of being like songs that one of us had written or had come together with one person's ideas, and then we just played them in a room together. And then I think once we got to Texas, all we had was an acoustic guitar for those first 10 days, which we thought was important because it meant we sat down with every word, every melody, and it meant that we really sat and could pick each other's brains, being like, I love this bit but not this bit, and it meant that we already had an idea of bits that were the stronger or the weaker parts of each song, which meant when we went to pre-production we already had ideas to shape things further, and then that meant that it was easier for us to roll into the recording. But at the same time, we weren't even thinking about recording while doing that, and then we suddenly were in San Francisco.
It kind of creeped up on you, but would you do that again? Would you go over with like the 10 days in mind with the guitar again and just feel like...
Whether it was a case of we went to the US for 10 days prior to that, or, you know, we just hung out for 10 days but really hung out. I think it was the fact that we were in a different place, so there weren't any distractions. There was no girlfriend distractions, there was no family distractions or whatever. It was solidly like us 5 dudes all together all the time, and it made the whole thing a lot more it just made it a better experience, you know. It made it a lot easier to write the songs because there weren't as many distractions. I think having just one acoustic guitar is really important, because I feel if a song sounds good on just an acoustic, then you make that into a full band thing and it's going to sound great.
But then at the same time, we did still have a really good time in Texas. We spent it meant that we could spend 4th of July in Texas and stuff, and we had a great time in Austin.
Did you guys kind of like plan it for that?
Yeah, I mean, it was all planned. Like, we all knew where we'd be at different times, and I think we wanted to make the most of the experience. We know that most bands never get to make an album, let alone make one in America, and we don't know if we'll ever get to do anything like that again, and obviously hopefully we will, but if we don't, we know that we got the most out of it, and we wanted to make sure we did that, and so we just made sure we enjoyed every second of it, you know? So.
The actual reception from Broken Draw, from the actual like the bands and stuff and touring with it, like what was the best part of that? How did it feel, and what was the actual main reception from it?
I think for both of us it was probably that it was we'd all done different musical projects for a long time, and I think it was the first time where we were in a band together, and I think as soon as we got in a room together we were all kind of like, well, this actually works really well.
Yeah, I like this.
And then in a month after we first got in a room together, we recorded Broken Jaw, didn't we, pretty much?
It all happened very, very, very quickly.
And so that was like, it was great to have that happen, but all of the work that we'd done in other bands before that, I think we'd never really had any type of piece of music where it really actually started to catch on with people. And so I think the greatest part of Broken Jaw for us is that it actually started a little bit of a spark for us, because we hadn't toured when we did Broken Jaw, and then our first tour we had kids singing along with the songs, you know, and so that's just steadily grown since then, and I think that's obviously the best thing you could ever imagine. We write music because we enjoy it, but then being in bands for a long time and you write music because you love it and you're passionate about it, but then to have the next level of that, having someone else be passionate about it and want to show you how passionate they are about something that you created is obviously it's very.
So you're definitely wanting that from the new tracks as well and the new album.
Of course, and I think we're taking that further, and regardless of any of that, obviously we write the songs for ourselves because that's what we want to write, but then at the same time I think the songs will translate in the same way and hopefully more than anything before.
For myself, like, the most important thing is that people dig what we do and enjoy it, because like, we're musicians, man. Like, I've written songs since I was 14. I look back to the stuff I wrote when I was that age and they were shit, but I've always done that, and that's what I will always be. If I'm 40 years old and, you know, playing dingy pubs, supporting, you know, bigger bands, I'll be happy, dude. Like, I love playing music and that's what I do. So for me, the most important thing is that people actually enjoy it. Like, obviously making money from it would be nice.
It's always an upside.
Yeah, totally. However, like, I'm not particularly a materialistic dude. The fact that I've had something to say and people can connect with that that really, really means a lot to me.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, the track we had on the EP Lifebox was the only song that I really lyrically had a lot of input in. The rest of the songs were kind of written prior to myself joining. Yeah, we dropped that as a single prior to our last tour with Decade, and I was a bit apprehensive about playing that because it's quite a soft acoustic song, so playing that in a rock-ig element was scary. But dude, it gave me tingles, man. Like, it gets this really emotional bit where I'm like pouring my heart or whatever, and you got kids singing along and chanting, and that was absolutely mind-blowing, man. Like, I've never experienced anything like that before.
Your main musical influences, it's probably a question you've been asked before, of course, but
Quite a broad question as well. I guess for myself, when I was younger, I was very, very narrow-minded. If it wasn't Jimmy Eat World or Story of the Year, then I wasn't really interested. It wasn't up until I was about 18, 19 that I kind of felt that genre of music was very saturated with the same sort of bands releasing the same sort of stuff. I got very frustrated with the fact that no one wanted to actually be themselves. So I just started listening to other kinds of music and started listening to stuff. So my influences changes all the time. Like, at the moment, what's on my tunes, I'm very big on Ellie Goulding at the moment. I love the way she uses vocal harmonies in her songs. I think that's fascinating, and it really adds a big element to it. But then again, I got into the Daft Punk record really, really recently, and that's like, as an album, as like a concept record as itself, is incredible, man. It's a real journey. I guess in future I'd like to be able to translate that into something we do. I'd love to do a concept record.
yeah. So on the new album, maybe we can just get like a load of vocal harmonies and Pharrell Williams on a track. Is that
So cool?
We tried. We actually do have some cool guest vocal spots on the album, which we can't reveal yet. But it's not Pharrell Williams, but there is some really.
Ah, damn it!
But yeah.
But you haven't said it's not Ellie Goulding either. So
That would be
If it was Ellie Goulding, I would have said, all right. As soon as that happened, man, I would have been.
if it was Ellie Goulding, you wouldn't be here right now. If you were at her house. What about your musical influences? We'll go with.
I guess I'm similar to Tom in the fact that it obviously evolves all the time. We love loads of different types of music, but I grew up on like Motown type of stuff, and then when my brother started to get into like actual bands, when he's a couple of years older than me, and I started getting into like the Beatles and the Beach Boys, and that's kind of like, the Beatles is everything to me. That is like everything, like songwriting, everything. I listen to Beatles songs and want to write that, you know, like yeah, exactly, and that's what I respect about the songwriting thing, and then that led me on to a lot of other bands, like a huge influence to me, bands like Jimmy Eat World, Movie Life, Alkaline Trio, and that was again because of my brother leading me on to those. But then I love all those bands, but I'm always going back to bands like the Beatles, and then even stuff like Stevie Wonder, just great songwriters, you know, just great, that transcends like style. Obviously we have a style that we love to play, we have an energy as young people, which means that the sound, which creates the sound that we have, but I think it only comes from us liking a lot of different types of music.
We have a lot of similar interests. Obviously, that I guess is very apparent in the kind of music we play.
Yeah.
If we didn't, then it would be very, very hard to write music.
It'll bring you closer as a band anyway, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff, we do have a lot of common interests in terms of music, very, very rock based. But then there are other stuff, like our drummer Joe is really, really big on country music. So that's obviously, that plays quite an important part. I feel that when we do a record, you always need a ballad on the record, whether that is an acoustic guitar tune or if it's just a kind of slowed down version. And I love my folk music, so it's really interesting to get his input on that. Because he's got a really good ear for what he thinks is going to sound great, and we all trust each other in that respect. So it's a lot of different influences, I guess, that kind of come together. But
and like the thing about Joe is that, like you said, Joe loves country, but he also loves hardcore. Like, it's so weird his musical taste, but at the same time, that type of thing in our band is a great thing because Joe plays as hard as anyone. Like, he's a real rock drummer, but then it's about the song, not about. He's not like a rock drummer in the way of a million fills everywhere. It's about servicing the song, and then the same with you. Obviously, we all have different influences. I mean, Tom, our bassist Tom and I, we've known each other since we were 4 years old, so me and him kind of mirror each other in pretty much all of that aspect of things. So he's the one, whenever I have an idea, I'm like, Tom, support me on this, I like this, do you like this? And he's like, yeah, I like this, but then some of the others might not. But so I think we all get together in different ways, but I think it comes together in the sound that we have, but because of all of our different tastes, So.
That's true songwriting right there, because especially when you guys can turn around and say you like many genres of music. The fact that it's not just about like the melodies and stuff like that. It's just about the like influence and the experience. That's what's best.
We're not worried about being cool. Like,
you are though. That's
stage, man. I dance around like an absolute clown. Like, I don't give a fuck what people think of me if they're going to think negatively. I literally am there to have a good time, and I want other people to have a good time and enjoy themselves. Like, I remember when I was a kid and go to shows and everyone would just jump around, and remember the days of push moshing? No one punched each other, no one was throwing fists, everyone was just jumping about having a great time. And it doesn't happen enough at shows nowadays.
Yeah.
You have a lot of very stone faced, like, okay, dude, are you having a good time? Like,
they're the type of people that actually come up to you after the show. Like, that was great, you know what I mean? Well, it didn't look it.
Sometimes, yeah, we do get that. But generally, it's, as I say, man, I don't give a fuck when I'm up. Well, just in life in general, but when I'm on stage, like, I want to make that very apparent that I don't care if anyone here thinks I'm uncool. So you guys shouldn't think that too. Like, there's far too much pressure on people, and I think that very much translates in our influences, because none of us would listen to something and go, I don't like this because it's perceived as being not cool. I love pop music, dude, as long as it's all about the songwriting for me. But I have no shame in admitting that. Like, I don't think that's cool or uncool. I like it because I like it. But then I love bands like Architects. I've got a real like hard side to me as well. Yeah. So we're all very, very accepting of different genres of music. I think the main thing is just, I don't care about being cool.
As long as I think any music, if it's passionate, if it has an emotion that is carrying and it has a meaning behind it, then obviously I think that's what music is about. It's about expressing an emotion, and I think if that's pure in the fact that someone's actually pouring their heart out, then I think there's nothing to not like about any style of music. Totally. Whether if someone's super angry and aggressive, they're getting out that emotion. If it's a love song or whatever, that's what we try and get from music. And I know kids these days seem to act differently at shows. I mean, we're not even old. We're early 20s, and we have still seen from when we started playing shows a difference in how crowds react to anything. And then I'm sure that will change in the next few years. But at the same time, we don't care how we're perceived, and then at the same time, I don't care as long as if the kids just stand still, as long as they're having a good time.
Yeah,
So
as long as people enjoy themselves is the most important thing. Like, I have a very mentality in the sense of I want to make friends, dude. I love making friends all the time, meeting new people. Like, being at shows is the best part to do that. Yeah. And if I see some kids who are just smiling, nodding their heads or whatever, I want to go and talk to them after the show and be like, did you enjoy that? Are you having a good time? And it's nice, man. We played a show in Southampton last night, and I came off stage, and a couple of dudes come up to me and like, bro, let's talk, man. You seem like a really good guy. I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Like, I'd love to talk to you.
Like, I made new friends.
It's cool.
And that's important for us, I think, especially at this stage, early in a band doing their thing, is that we like on this tour, we're like a lighter sounding band compared to the other two bands that are on this tour, and so it's not particularly a tour where a lot of the kids, we're particularly exactly their cup of tea. I think they're looking for slightly other things, but at the same time, I mean, if last night is a precursor for the whole tour, I think having people responsive regardless and just there to have a good time is important, and that's what I liked about last night, and hopefully it'll be the same tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Talking about like the shows and touring, what's been the craziest experience? I don't know if standing in human poo works for that. No, I think you've cleaned it off. We're hoping it's dog, but it might be human. But what is like the craziest experience you guys had?
Story or just a general band story?
Go with whatever you want to go with.
Tour, in sense of tour, it's usually just drunken antics. I don't drink a lot myself, so
Because there's never any beer because other members of our band drink it all already.
Bastards.
I guess the craziest stories that I have are probably from the States. Dude, it was just crazy, man. Like,
Yeah,
it was
pretty crazy.
It was a mental time. Again, very, very drunken antics. Joe, our drummer, became very, very fond of this bar around the corner from the studio, Kirby's, and the last night of recording, we were all doing gang vocals, and Joe said, I'm just going to go down to the bar for like kind of half hour, say goodbye to the locals. Well, okay, mate, no worries. 6 hours later, he comes back. Oh, God. 12 hours later, he came back.
He didn't come back, we had to go and get him, didn't we? But yeah, and
Well, 12 hours later, you found him.
Dude, that was mental. I think there's videos on Instagram of the shenanigans that occurred.
yeah, and then the next morning we were flying home, so the record's done and we were flying home, and I wake up Joe to get our flight. And he was like, oh, don't worry, man, I don't have to track drums there, I don't have anything to track. I was like, Joe, we're going home. Like, we have to go, it's done.
You need to be sober.
But, yeah, America was crazy, and I mean, I'm trying to think of tour stories. I mean, every tour has its own, like, funny things that we always remember, and I mean, I have on a previous tour, I went through the stage on one show, that's quite memorable. Actually, I have a tendency to do that. I'm like the lightest guy.
Such a petite dude, though.
But
Heavy foot.
I went in Bournemouth. I literally went through the stage, and then last night I put my foot through the stage. So just
What venue last night?
it was in Southampton Cellars, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was I don't know if I'm just unlucky, but my
so
foot went through the
funny, man.
stage in the first 30 seconds.
Was it like actual stage or monitor? What's it?
Actual staging.
That's impressive.
Second song, he turned round to me and went, bro. I looked down and there's just this crack in the wood.
Yeah, don't stand there. Yeah.
Don't stand on that.
But yeah, I mean that's I don't know, that's a funny little thing that seems to follow me around. But every tour has its fun things, and we're obviously just all up for having a good time, and I'm sure we'll have more stories.
Absolutely.
And there's some we can't talk about.
Something you can't talk about.
We can't talk about some stories we can't talk about. That's why you were very vague about America there. It's like,
Yes. We could go into detail. However,
Is it illegal or is it just like?
well,
that's more of a privacy reason, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we were. This sounds.
Actually, I did walk in on one of our band members masturbating. I won't tell you who,
I'll tell it.
but that was hilarious.
All we know it wasn't any of you two, so we've narrowed it down.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience. I just wanted to, dude. I was really, really, really hungry, and I just needed a fork. And let me explain. Actually, there was a sink
In the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
Oh, God.
That was our only sink, so we did all washing up in there. So I wandered into the bathroom thinking, oh, it's fine, like doors unlocked, and I caught his eyes for a split second, and I saw into his soul, man. And there's this thought process that went through my mind of going, do I get the fork now or do I just bail? Like, no, fuck it, man, I need to eat. So I just walked right next to him, grabbed the fork, didn't look at anything, didn't say anything, just walked out, closed the door.
Wait, did he continue?
No, I'm told he couldn't finish, and very, very sharply tied himself up.
He came out and said he thought he was in shock.
What was it? I feel like I've been in a car crash.
Yeah, he said, I feel like I've been in a car crash. I think I'm in shock.
Was it one of those moments where he just like picked up his trousers, or was it just hand just still?
It was iPhone in hand. You know, yeah, it was. I think it brought us closer.
Yeah, it would.
So if anybody wants to investigate this situation, there's 3 other members of this band. So you should ask each of them individually and see who goes most.
Maybe we should roll a dice for that one as well.
I don't know if you want to open that box.
Don't even know if we got time to, but guys, it's been amazing interviewing you. Guys, we'll do the good whole handshake. Ladies and gentlemen, light you up.